The hedonic treadmill is a psychological observation made on a whole bunch of people, wherein our baseline happiness will rise to whatever general happiness we're able to exist in, right? A big house looks nice until you've been in said big house for 5 years, and the happiness of being in that big house becomes, I live in a big house. Or maybe that really, really cool car you got after a while becomes the car that drives you around, regardless of whether or not it was your dream car. I bring this up now because I watched a video recently by Innuendo Studios called Crossing the South Bank of the Rubicon, which is a classical reference to Caesar crossing said bank and reinvading Rome after having won so many battles of it. And essentially it is the tipping point or crossing point, the point of no return for Caesar in establishing tyranny, right? But that video is not necessarily this one. What that video did inspire, though, is that toward the end, it cautions us to write down what our limit is, or what threshold will be crossed before we stand up and fight for ourselves. And I thought that was really interesting to do in reverse. Not necessarily in, oh, what's the threshold and before I'm completely fine. Wait, no, that's exactly it, actually. I thought that in its reverse would be very, very interesting, especially for someone who wants more, who would like to get more. I think back to the hedonic treadmill, and how generally we, more than anything, want something, and then Christmas comes, we get it, and next Christmas we want something else. I think it's important to put our victories in perspective. We very, very rarely keep track of our wins. If you've been here for a while, you know that one of my great pieces of advice in order to make yourself just happier is to note how many things that you consider normal is actually extraordinary to somebody else, and to keep track and tally of those. But more than that, because we have fully taken up those exercises, those works, those labors into our day-to-day, it's been hedonic treadmill. It's become such a small part of how we conduct ourselves and live our lives that it is suddenly background noise. We don't pause to say, I did make a good dinner. I did do that report. I did that, this, that, or the other. And if you think about it, when we were babies, can you remember how useless we are? Could you remember how when we were children, how little we actually could do, how much we could actually push or make or conduct, how many hours we could work before we went, okay, that's it, I'm going to bed, I'm taking a nap. Sure, there was more time to play around and have fun, there were more 8-hour D&D sessions and League of Legends endurance runs, trying to get to Challenger, but really, when we were younger, we had so little ability to meaningfully change our surroundings and where we are. Keeping that in mind now, I think now that we are adults, there are plenty of ways we can demand ourselves to be better, to do a lot better. Right? And when we do all of those, the bar for which is the lowest expected effort of us continues to rise. If I was able to cook 3 decent to good meals last week, I should be able to do that or more this week, and the week after, and the week after that. If I was able to publish a video every day for a month, then why am I not doing that right now? When really the world around us changes and moves around and becomes all kinds of different ways. We are unfortunately not merely our actions in a vacuum. Unfortunately, we have to share the world with billions of other human beings, and all those other human beings might have different plans for you and what they want to do with you. Being reliant on those other human beings, or being reliant on society, makes it hard to completely know whether or not you would have done that thing right or not, had these things not happened. Which is why excuses exist, and why excuses aren't in and of themselves or necessarily bad. Things to excuse behavior, to allow yourself some slack, or at least explanation. I couldn't do this or that because things were going on. And it's not the same as cope. We take for granted ourselves, our bodies, our work, how much we put into it. I have seen many incredible artists look at their work and go, it's okay, when they, at the age of sort of 8 or 4, would have looked at their work and they would have wanted to be you when they grew up. And guess what? They did. Whenever you are proficient and exceptional at something, and you run it off as something that you just do, you grew up into the person you wanted to be when you were a kid. That is incredible. That is so bright and hope-core and so full of light, and we ignore that. If you're an incredible singer, do you remember how tone-deaf you were when you were younger? Or not tone-deaf, but where you lacked technique or ability or skill. If you were a voice actor, do you remember when the only voice you could do was a really rough Donald Duck? If that. And now you can pull on the Space Marine voice, or the Mickey Mouse voice, or all these different impressions. Your Peter Griffin has only gotten better as you grew up. And yet we still have this quality, this fear of ours, that we will never reach where we want to be, when we already have very often. Something I would like to do this year, maybe after this video, or maybe after this video comes up, depending, see how long I can procrastinate on this, is to write down what my dream is, in no uncertain words. Write down what would be enough for me to say that I've succeeded in content creation. And of course, that number will keep going up as we continue to grow, as we continue to create, because the hedonic treadmill, every exceptional misery or joy will eventually become baseline if we experience it hard enough and consistently enough. So what is that? What is that for me? I'm not sure if I should disclose it live. I'm not sure if I should disclose it here on this video, but I'll definitely sort of figure that out. How many people do I need to watch me on every stream on Twitch for me to feel like I've made it? How much do I have to make monetarily every month on Twitch for me to have made it? How many videos do I have to post every month or every couple of months to feel accomplished and visible and creative? It's in human nature to eventually want more. We are not logical creatures. We are creatures that simply chase highs. And our ability to temper that high chasing with logic is a unique and powerful boon that is afforded to us. So to temper myself, what would be enough? I strongly urge you to figure that out for yourself as well. How much would you have to make before you figure that you're happy? How much do you figure you have to work a week for you to be happy? Or what do you have to have in your life for you to feel happy? Write it down right now. Write it down in no uncertain words, in Sharpie, or something that is very hard to replace or scribble over. And hold on to it. Fold it. Keep it in your wallet. You might find yourself in this position, seated in front of YouTube 10, 15 years from now, and you might open that, you might be surprised how many things you've accomplished since you put that down for yourself. I certainly hope I will be surprised that something that I wanted so doggedly and earnestly when I was younger has come to pass. What will be enough? Ding, 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 10 minutes.